Okay, good morning. Welcome, everyone. Sorry for the delay. I was trying to make sure I went live, and we are now live. So we will begin today's coffee, where we're going to focus on this evidence that we're live. Um, and today we're going to talk about social emotional and health and mental health. And before we begin with our guest speakers, just wanted to make sure that I
Thank
gave our
you.
parent
I appreciate that.
organizations an opportunity to speak if they are interested. One thing I do want to promote is our wine and dine. That is our big event that is done by the PTO. So if I have any representatives from any of these parent organizations that would like to come off mute and speak, now's the time, and then we will move forward. And
Hey, Principal Hollis, real quick. This is Fabricio Moraes with the PTO. Hi, everybody. Just want to do a quick plug-in for the Wine and Dine, the Hauer Wine and Dine, which supports the PTO. It is next Friday, March 6th, and it's really a chance for us to get together, with the teachers and staff. Right now, we have about 31 that have already RSVP'd between teachers and staff, and just a chance to get together and help us raise some funds for all the programs that the PTO does, like the so you probably have gotten a lot of messages, and we're apologize if we're over communicating, but we always get feedback of, there are different ways, so we're trying to get to everybody. But I will also put the link on the chat here. But we hope to see everybody next week, March 6th. And if you know you're going, please buy your tickets this week. We have to give some initial numbers to the caterer tomorrow. So of course we can always add people, but if you already know, please just purchase your tickets so we can give them some accurate numbers and we're not overcommitting. Thank you, and we'll hope to see you next week.
thank you. Anyone from Booster or Foundation?
Good morning, everybody. Melissa Hawkins is here from Foundation. Sorry, my video is off. Good morning to everyone. Foundation, we have already done a great fundraising campaign. We reached our numbers. We appreciate everyone for their donations. We are still actively accepting donations, doing great projects around the school. So, including the improvement in the audio system in the gym. And I'll be there tonight for Beta Club inductions for the sixth graders. So please continue to support Foundation. We are always accepting donations and we appreciate everyone's support.
Thank you. We are in the middle of Go Team financial budgeting session, approving that. And in the middle of Go Team declarations, we are in need of two parents to run for those openings, and we have two instructional staff seats. So the more people that declare, the more options that we have, since we have to have two people in both of those areas. So please take the time to declare. It does constitute a commitment of 8 to 10, no, I'm sorry, 6 to 8 after school meetings, and we do some of them by Zoom. Just wanted to keep front of mind what our continuous improvement goals are. So these are to increase our ELA and math by 5%. Do want to remind parents that this is our inaugural year for the new current ELA standards, which means that the end of grade assessment reports and scores for ELA will be delayed, as you experienced a couple years back for math. And then math, we also want to increase by 5% and remind parents that The increase for math in 8th grade is a board goal. And we want to make sure we keep our eye on our chronic absenteeism and to try to maintain our score of 90% or better that we were able to attain from CCRPI last year. And that takes us to our current data. As of this morning, we have 1187 enrolled. We did have a couple people move out of state. And then our breakdown for our demographics are there. The CCRPI attendance rate today is trending better than we were last year by 0.2%. And we can see that our discipline numbers are below. Since we last met, we've had a family engagement solution session where we were talking about our family engagement survey. This is the district-based survey, not the state-based survey. And so here you can see our data from 2024-25 school year versus the data from this year, which is the 25-26 school year. And we did have an increase in the number of responses, and we also increased in our overall score, but we are still having some areas of concern. And on the House, you can see what the buckets are. In that conversation, we discussed some things around, we had about 30 people to come to participate overall, staff members and parents. And we talked about the things that were in the letter, communication, how can we work together to meet our goals and to improve the way that the House looks. And so communication is not our lowest, collaboration is. And so that event was meant to give an opportunity for collaboration with parents to get insight. We did get from the parents that did participate some good insight. And what we heard was we need a little bit more consistency between the communication from teachers to families, especially in Schoology around announcements of assessments and such. We did notate that our website changed, and there are some things that were traditionally communicated on the website that have moved. And we did notice some broken links that have been fixed. And then our biggest need for support is in transitioning our families from elementary to the middle school space and understanding what is expected, what the differences are. And we have committed to doing more boot camps for 6th grade parents. Have a tendency to front load information, and we are trying to shift from just front loading to also providing some just in time communication. So we're going to increase the number of boot camps to give some attention to that. School updates that we have right now. At the top, you can see who we're celebrating since we last met. The boys won their second in a row middle school APS championship. The girls did go to the championship game, and we were runner-ups. So I'm very proud of both sets of students. We celebrated them with their hardware champion walk through the school. The boys also competed in two, I don't know what you call them, tournaments since then. And one of them was statewide and one of them was like Metro District wide. In the Metro District, we placed third in that one, and I haven't gotten the results of the state one. We also finalized that a 6th grader won the Young Georgia's Authors Competition. We had more than 50 students to participate in that competition because that is the largest number of entries that we've had since I've been here. I think since Ms. Neal has been here, we decided to also honor each of the grade levels with a winner, but only one person could go on to the district championship. Our spelling bee representative that won in December also competed in the district championship and placed in 5th place. And we had some students to participate in the bilingual spelling bee as well. And our team placed 4th for the reading bowl. Upcoming assessments that I want to bring attention to is our predictive district checkpoint. This checkpoint, we did not do it for fall, but this one should be predictive. And it is supposed to garner a report similar to what we get from the milestones so that we can send home to parents and discuss with students and teachers as to what we predict as of right now that how the child will perform on the end of grade assessment. So please, please, please make sure that your child is here on March 4th and March 5th for those exams. We are aware that LGPE is occurring for band on March 4th, and we already have a makeup plan in place for those said students. We are also going to take the National Latin exam. That would be some 7th and 8th graders that take Latin, and that will be on March 11th. Right score will be the week following the checkpoint on the 9th through the 13th. And I will also comment that the ELA checkpoint will not have any writing. It will be more the reading comprehension, grammar, and such. And the writing piece will happen during the right score. That will happen in their classes. Please make sure on those checkpoint dates that we are getting the students to school on time that day, because we are going to do a school-wide testing schedule to give them a more traditional testing environment, the way that we would see it for EOGs. Our MAP window is going to be the 23rd through the 27th. We are looking to test either that Monday and Tuesday or Tuesday and Wednesday for all students in ELA and math. We will do math first because the EOGs, as you see below, has math first for everyone, and we want kids to get acclimated to that. STEAM updates. Oh, okay. STEAM updates. We have added on an It Girl program, which deals with programming and coding for girls. That is a partnership with It Girl. And we just finished our recycling challenge. 6th graders brought in the most items for recycling, and it was very interesting to learn about what is going on and how we handle recycling, and understanding what the numbers in the triangles mean, and what can be recycled, how many times it can be recycled. So just getting students more acclimated to what it means to have a sustainable environment. The Winning Media projects, we also did the tech fair, and there were projects associated with this challenge. And I will play this short, some of it. The video you see at the bottom, the winner, and the student created, as you can see, and it is being used by Novellus to help.
Hello, who am I here with?
Liam Hunt,
And what grade are you in?
7th.
Okay, so we got some questions for you. First, why is recycling important?
Because it helps the environment.
And can you recycle aluminum?
Yes.
How many times do you think you can recycle it?
4.
Okay. What other materials? And what excites you about the recycling challenge?
I'm
Okay, that's it. Hello, who am I here with today?
Olivia Hanley.
What grade are you in? Okay, we have some questions for you. First, why is recycling important?
Because it like helps to not waste like things.
Can you recycle aluminum?
Yes.
How many times do you think aluminum can be recycled?
A lot of them. As long as it's like clean.
Who are we here with today?
Cooper Thomas.
What grade are you in?
In 6th grade.
Okay, we got some questions for you. Why is recycling important?
It keeps our environment clean and saves wildlife.
Okay, can you recycle aluminum?
Yes.
How many times can you recycle aluminum?
As many as possible.
Hello, who are we speaking with?
Hi, I'm Miss Nolan. I teach 7th grade ELA.
Okay, we got some questions for you. First, why does recycling matter?
Recycling matters because we live here on this earth and we only have one earth, and we have to do our part to make sure that we reuse things and we don't just turn it into a big garbage dump.
What other materials can you recycle?
You can recycle plastic, although at a lot of this single stream recycling that we do at home, you can't do like plastic bags, you have to take that somewhere else, but you can do plastic and paper, and then even at the grocery stores and other places you can do plastic bags and plastic packaging and things like that.
Okay, lastly, what excites you about the recycling challenge?
I am excited for 7th grade to win, and I think that it is great to start recycling at a young age.
So as you can see, the students took a lot of time and effort to make this informational video, and they did a really good job. These were 7th graders that won, I think, yeah. And the winning media project, they're going to a Hawks game this weekend, along with our students that won in the science fair and tech fair winners. They're all going to be awarded tickets to see the Hawks game this weekend on the 1st. So very, very proud of those individuals. And as you can see, we are full steam ahead here at Howard and looking to start looking at what certification means. And I think the video, what spoke to me the most is just how serious the students were about it and how much they are knowledgeable about it. So we're going to shift into our mental health aspect. And before we shift, I wanted to give an opportunity for any questions that parents may have on the quick blurb of what has happened at Howard from the last time we spoke at the beginning of January to now. It feels like it's been a long time. You have had the kids for a week. We've had some ice storms and all kind of things since the last time we met. So if you have any questions or if there's anything in chat that someone wants to call out, and you are welcome to unmute yourself. Can you share how long you have to clear? I'm not sure what that question is.
There are some questions in the chat, Principal Hollis. We have one that says, will the late ELA GMAT scores impact review for honors ELA placement eligibility at Midtown for rising 9th graders? And apologies if that's a Mr. Vincent, Dr. Bachman question.
It is a Mr. Vincent, Dr. Bachman question. No need to apologize. I do not believe that they have used in the past GMAT scores for that. I think they use the average of the students' grades from 8th grade. I may be mistaken. Please go back to the website to check, and I will alert them that you had that question. The question about how many have we declared, I'm not sure what Alex is referring to. What is the school's capacity? The school's capacity is like 1,350, and next year we will be at, or we're projected to be at 90% capacity.
There's another question. Considering we're a STEAM certified cluster, would it be possible to explore CTAE courses to be year-long courses as a pathway that's acknowledged and receives a scheduling treatment similar to band and languages?
So that becomes harder because that means that, well, first off, let's say that the whole point of CTAE or any connections class during middle school is exploration. And so if you make it year long, you're limiting the number of courses that the child can explore, and the point of exploring is so that you can know what you want to do in high school. It is not to make it more of a declaration. We have worked with, especially the media courses, because we have to produce them, or they produce the yearbook, and the yearbooks production goes through the semester change. So we do have some students that take the course for 2 semesters versus 1, but that is not something that we, as what the theme of middle school is and the purpose of middle school, would be entertaining to expand those courses. There is a coding course in 8th grade that is year long because that is a high school course.
Okay, there are 2 questions about math acceleration. There is one that asks, will we be doing a second look math assessment for accelerated math in spring?
Y'all don't read.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That was not, I think somebody was accidentally unmuted. And then we had another question regarding, is there any additional information on the parent letter about accelerated math that was received yesterday? It came as a surprise.
So the parent letter is about how students are going to be scored in order to get into accelerated. It is mostly for our 5th grade parents, but there are some students that qualify to be placed into accelerated beyond 6th grade. And so for those students who have went beyond 6th grade, that is what the letter is referring to. And those criteria are developed by the district. As far as what the criteria is and will there be a second look with the spring, if we're saying for rising 6th grade, that would be an element question, because that would depend on whether or not they have elected to do the spring map. We've always said we were doing the spring map. So for our students, it's really not a second look, but because some schools are doing the spring map and the information of the criteria that was communicated by the district was done in a more delayed fashion than what we're accustomed to, the students, the district decided to also include the spring map as one of the metrics. Before, when we communicated what the district said as the criteria, it was only looking at winter. And that's what we communicated to our families at the time that we had that information. So this change is not school-based, it is district-based. And they also advertised some listening sessions for parents who have questions about that. And we also sent that out through Remind and put it into the RAMS report for those parents that had questions that were about how and what. So if you have something specific around the criteria or how we're scoring that, I can look that up. And while the mental health person is speaking, I will add a link to what the district parameters are, criteria are for the accelerated math. Other questions that we may have missed before I turn it over to our guests?
What is the best way to bring up a facilities concern?
Email me or Ms. Sabia.
I'll drop those in the link. And can you share how many Go Team parent candidates have declared?
I do not have that information at this moment in time because I don't control that part. I can reach out to the Go Team office to ask and send that out through a remind this afternoon.
All right, I think that's all. The rest can be addressed in the chat.
Awesome. And whoever had the facilities questions, you can also put a direct message in the chat to me right now so that we can try to fix whatever the issue may be. I will say that, we had the honors program. And off the top of my head, I do not know how many kids were honored. I would say it was probably towards 900 to 1,000 kids that were honored between the three programs. So we were very, very proud of the students, and thank you to the counseling staff for what they did to make that event successful. And thank you to the parents. The turnout to honor our students was, it was amazing. The number of parents that came for each of those grade level sessions, and it was organized. So, and they, especially with 7th and 6th being back to back, they exited so we can let the 6th grade parents in seamlessly. And the bigger yay is that we have very much transitioned the culture of grab the kids after the honors program and take them out to let's delay that gratification and keep them in class so that they can learn for the rest of the day. So I really appreciate the partnership with families, with understanding that if the kids are not in class, then learning is, changed for what its purpose is for that day. I am going to turn it over to Ms. Randolph now to introduce our mental health person that's coming to speak, and then Dr. Todman will speak after that person to introduce our SEL person.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So I'm Ms. Randolph, your school's social worker, and I have the benefit of introducing our next speaker, who will be Ms. Deborah Grigsby. She is a clinical training manager with Pathways Therapeutic Service, which is an agency that partners with Howard to provide clinical support to students, therapeutic support to students who are in need or who would like to request that support via a clinician. So without further ado, Ms. Grigsby, you are welcome to speak. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ms. Randolph. So yes, I'm Deborah Grigsby from Pathways. And so I'm here to just talk a little bit about therapy, kind of what therapy is and how this relates to your child, right? You are here to support your child. That's why you're participating in this. And so I'm just bringing a little information here that I hope is going to be helpful. So psychotherapy or therapy, it really starts with it being a safe space to explore feelings and reactions. And of course, there are various, professionals that would be involved in that: psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, licensed counselors. I come through social work. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, but we all provide services to support people in general. And many of us, I've spent ever since I got out of school, it's always been about children. So we look a little bit more here at therapy. It's a form of treatment aimed at relieving emotional distress, examining and gaining insight into life choices and difficulties. So that's just sort of a basic understanding there. It's going to support clients to live from a more healthy, adaptive perspective. And what I wanted to talk about is the story, the narrative, because everybody, including our children, they have a story that they're telling themselves, really about themselves. That's what's happening all the time. So within therapy, we work with that through talk therapy, possibly play therapy, possibly art. We would integrate various things because this is a helpful thing to do. Our brains have many parts to them. Parts of us that are more creative, the right brain does best when it can integrate with the left brain. So the language of a child, even a middle school child, may very well do well with some degree of play or art therapy. So this can mix in. So just so you have that as kind of a base of understanding. Now, kind of back to the story, thinking about the sort of questions that a child's sense of self would be working through. Now, they're not necessarily going to be aware of this, but these are really important questions that everybody deals with, and certainly children. Am I worthy? Am I capable? Am I deserving? Am I safe to do this or that? And it asks, who can I turn to when I need help? When I feel scared, sad, angry, confused, frustrated, overwhelmed, and that list goes on and on. But these are important things to think about when you try to understand sort of your child. And I know you're all here because that's what you want to do. Either you're a teacher who's wanting to bring the best you can for the children, or you're a parent who's wanting to make sure everything is addressing your child's needs. And it is in truth, a full process. You have academic pursuits that are part of the school environment, but it is never separated from the social, emotional aspect of life. So when we talk about the worlds that a person lives in general, there's many different worlds. So when you think about the roles you play, maybe you're a daughter, you're a sibling, you're a granddaughter, you're a student, you're a friend, you have a religion or a certain spiritual perspective that you live in, or that is part of your family's perspective. You have a racial identity, cultural identity, gender identity. Maybe you're an artist, a dancer, so forth and so on. All these worlds are part of who you are, and there's many, many of them. I think we all know that we are different people, maybe when we are with our family than we might be when we're at work, or when we are, I don't know, at the gym, whatever. There's so many different places where we put on the identity of who we are in a certain environment. And so this is certainly true for your children, and they are managing a lot. It is a complex world. Life is complex. So we are always trying to navigate how these worlds work together. So you can go to the next slide. So again, children are navigating rapidly changing environments. Developmentally, going through so much. Physically, socially, environmentally, emotionally, developmentally. And that is not all. There are so many different pieces that sort of grabs most of what's going on, but there's a lot to that. And there's so many factors that impact a child's well-being and their ability to just adjust to the demands. And certainly a school environment has a lot of demands. I mean, as I'm listening, I'm hearing the discussions around the Georgia milestones coming up and this and that exam. And I see the questions about the advanced courses and how their student is going to be prepared. And there's a lot of thoughts around academics. Of course, that's what this environment is. All that has various demands. And so your child is navigating that. Who am I? How do I do the best I can do? And one of the things that may be, part of this picture is sometimes there are worlds that are in conflict. In fact, maybe this is always what's going on. So maybe a child is sorting through all the peer pressures. How do I fit in? I mean, that's a normal thing in middle school. How do I fit in with my peers? How do I also perform well academically? My parents have a strong expectation for that. How do I do that? Or maybe I haven't done well and I'm feeling bad about myself, but I'm angry because people aren't understanding me and what I'm dealing with in another part of my world. So this is all normal. This is normal stuff that's going on. But again, it's complex. So children are going to be feeling this, and I referred to this as sort of when a world hits another world and it's in conflict, there's a tension there. It can bring on anxiety. If it goes on and on, sometimes it could bring on depression, certainly insecurities, various things, depending on how loaded and how intense and how big the conflict is. And this happens. This happens in life sometimes. And these are the kind of things that you want to look at. This is where sort of red flags may come up and say, you know, maybe my child could use some more help. And I did want to say one thing here too, that whenever a parent would hear that my child has a problem, if someone on the outside points any sort of finger or sort of says, just notifies your child is struggling academically or behaviorally or anything, it is very normal for the first thought, whether a parent is realizing it or not, is to say, this is a reflection on me. I have not done something right. This is what a parent may be working with. It's very normal that that may be in the mix. I'm just going to say, okay, no, it's normal. Put it over on a shelf. Okay, because that's going to be how that is. That's just the parent being a person. So when we go on to sort of say what therapy can offer a child, I just sort of put this as simply as I could. Therapy for a child is going to let the therapist get in there to help a child navigate these different worlds, to help them bring more integration into their way of navigating their academic world, their social world, their emotional world. And so when you do this, you then as a parent can put more focus on just being a parent. And there's a lot to say about what that is, but I just sort of summed it up by saying, as a parent, you're there to love your child, recognize what they face, listen to them, provide healthy structure, nurture, balance, and be a safe space for your child to learn and grow. And doesn't it sound better to think there you can turn certain things over? And at times that's just how it is. I always say, some of you may know this, but if you're a clinician of any form, psychotherapist of any form, you're going to be told to do your own therapy. That's up at the first of the list, not because you need to understand what the process looks like for others, but because it's healthy, because you need to be as grounded as you can be. You need to know yourself as much as you can. This is healthy for capacity to manage life's challenges. So if you're at all have any hesitancy around what it is to bring on someone to help your child with mental health, just know it can be a smart thing. Talk to someone if you need to. Talk to the counselors at school, anyone, to get more information about that. But it really can be very important and helpful and a strong position to take. So that's it. I hope I haven't gone too long. I wasn't paying attention to time, but I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Thank you. You were fine. I appreciate the information that you gave. The only question I saw was around video game addiction and whether or not we have support at the school. Ms.
Can I answer that, Ms. Hollis?
Sure, absolutely.
That will also give me an opportunity to explain how the process works. If there is a parent online who would like to request additional support via Pathways. So as a social worker and counselor, we do provide some counseling support. However, be mindful that it's more surface level. If you are in need of working with, or if you prefer to work with someone to provide more intensive therapeutic care, what you would do is, unfortunately, you should not call or contact Pathways directly because there is a long waiting list. Due to the fact that we have a partnership with the agency, we get to skip the line. But in order to do that, you would reach out to me and let me know, and you don't have to give specifics because you have the right to confidentiality and keeping things confidential. But if you could just share some information with me, then I can make a referral on your behalf to Pathways, and then they can reach out to you to provide additional information. And then you can make the determination as to whether or not that you feel that that would be a great fit for your scholar. Another thing I would like to state is there are also opportunities for you to work through your private insurance. You can go through pediatricians and have conversation with your pediatrician on some of the concerns that you have, and they can make recommendations. If there is anyone online that does not have medical care for their scholar, again, you can reach out to me and I can support you or assist you with trying to secure some form of insurance or medical care for your scholar. Are there any additional questions?
There was one more question in the chat. What is or how are students encouraged to reach out to their counselors and balance class time?
Typically, we have town hall meetings. We have meetings at the beginning of the year where we introduce ourselves and tell what our roles are. We have town hall meetings where some of that information comes up. We have teachers who encourage students to seek counselors, or sometimes counselors or myself, we see things and we go up to students just to introduce ourselves and tell them more about what support we can provide and work with them in partnership. But now that we have parents online, as parents, you can also remind your scholars of the resources that are available here at the school and encourage your scholars to reach out to us. And they can do so by simply requesting to come to the office, and sometimes they send emails as well. Any more questions?
Hey, I'm the one who typed that first question. My son is concerned about missing class, I guess, and doesn't feel like it's okay to do that to see the counselor. I guess isn't quite sure about that. So is it that he says some teachers might not allow it, or maybe that's his understanding of it? Is it that the time that they have to do that is during some other class and they would make up, they would discuss with their teacher later what they missed?
Yes, that is something that they can request. They can request it by the teacher. Teachers are very accommodating when it comes to things like that because we don't know what the issue may be.
Gotcha.
And so saying no, you're just going to chit chat about my friend made me mad, and at some point in time in the day, we're presuming that if that is the case, then it is something that negatively affected your person, and you felt like it was important enough to share with the adults. That helps us to eliminate unnecessary horse playing and other things that may occur because of something like that, right? So teachers are welcoming and open to allowing that. All of the students have a class in their Schoology that is dedicated from the counselors, and so they can also message the counselor that way through Schoology if it is something that they don't necessarily want to miss class for, but want to make them aware and let the counselor figure out whether or not they want to pull them out of class. And then it is initiated by the adult versus the child, if that's what their concern is. But yes, they would be responsible for any work that may have lapsed during that time.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, seeing no more questions, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Todman to introduce our person for SEL.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Lindsay Wazgolaski. I always mumble that one and jumble it up with my words, but I call her Dr. Lindsay. Dr. Lindsay represents our district SEL team, and she's coming to us today as one of the district coordinators, and she'll be speaking to us as a resource and advocate regarding how we should think about SEL for our middle schoolers. It seems like the perfect transition from our conversation that we just had with mental health to thinking about SEL and what that looks like for our students at the school. Just to piggyback before I turn it over to Dr. Lindsay, in terms of our school counseling world, students do also have the opportunity to leave us notes. And a lot of times we'll go to the students directly and identify a time where we can meet with them that may not conflict with something that they might have, like a test or something like that. But Dr. Lindsay, the floor is all yours. Thank you again for today.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here today. I'm Dr. Lindsay Vichowkovsky. Good try, Dr. Todman.
I can't hear you. I think you might be muted, Dr. Lindsay.
Oh,
I can hear. I
okay.
can hear you.
All right.
But do you want me to stop sharing and allow you to share so you can control your slides?
Yeah, sure. That would be fine. I just sent a request to share. All right.
We just hit allow. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So hopefully you can see my slide deck. All right. So, can you all see my slide deck?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Lindsay Vichowkovsky. I'm happy for you to call me Dr. Lindsay, Dr. W. And I am the social emotional learning coordinator for your cluster and also for all the elementary schools. I'm one of 3 coordinators, and we started this social and emotional learning initiative about 11 years ago. So we've been doing this for a long time. And our focus is really on not just this idea of mental health, but really normalizing conversations around connection and self-regulation and navigating social challenges that students have. So today we're going to talk about social and emotional learning. We're going to talk about our district focus, and we're going to talk a little bit about middle school, which can be an even more challenging time, really, because students are navigating a lot of social and emotional changes in their brain. So I would like to start with a little game. And in this game, I'm going to flash up a situation, and I just want you to think about what your current reaction might be. So, all right, first scenario. All right, how would you react when someone constantly interrupts you mid-sentence? What's your first reaction? And you can put that in the chat, or just think about, how would you respond to that? All right. Anyone want to say how they might respond to that?
Ms. Lindsay, we can see all of your notes and everything.
Oh.
So I didn't know if you wanted that review.
No, I didn't. I don't know why. Here, let me change. Thank you. All right, how's that?
Wonderful.
All right. Yeah, I'm not trying to pull back the curtain. All right. Okay, so what is your response? Anyone want to get off mute and just kind of tell me, how do you respond when somebody just continuously interrupts you?
It can be pretty irritating.
Right. So you might feel irritated. I love that. Thank you for sharing, Miss Moore. All right. What about when your child ignores you? So I myself have 3 children, and one, he's in high school, but I just remember in middle school wanting to get his hearing checked because I literally was like, do the dishes. And for whatever reason, the dishes were not done. And I know he heard me. What is your first response?
Also irritation.
Yeah. All right. And then also, if you receive unexpected criticism, right? Let's think about how that might feel in the body. Maybe we feel something in the pit of our stomach. We feel uncomfortable. Maybe we feel reactive. So I just want to talk about, like, as adults, we're experiencing all of these things, right? And a lot of the times our emotions are first response. We're emotional and not necessarily logical. But if you think about the teenage brain or the preteen brain, right? They're actually wired for emotional responses. So some of these things can be really heightened, like if somebody is interrupting them or they feel disrespected, or if they feel ignored, or if they receive unexpected criticism. Because what is happening is that inside of the teenage brain, the limbic system is highly active. It is developing very quickly, which is our center that's responsible for emotion, and also receiving a reward by positive affirmation. Kids are more, like, you see an increased sensitivity to social observation and understanding how your social interaction is taken, your emotional reactions are intensified, and there is a drive for novelty and risk-taking behavior. And your prefrontal cortex, which is here, this is responsible for your executive functioning skills and thinking things through. That is not as fully developed, and that does not fully develop until you're like 26 years old. So this all leads to really big feelings, a need for social approval for students, and quicker reactions. So when we think about this, sometimes when we're looking at our child, we can look at this and we're like, it can be really frustrating as a parent. But I think it's important for us to recognize that this is not necessarily defiance or drama. This is normal brain development. So thinking about that, I want us to think about what are most challenging parts of really being a parent of a middle schooler. And I have some different options up here, like intense emotions, supporting our children with navigating friendships, and also, keeping their motivation on the things that we would like them to be focused on, and maybe not having motivation for other things that we feel are distractions, having constructive communication. So I just want you to think about which one might be the most difficult for you as a parent to navigate. So just like our mental health providers was talking about, all of these are normal because as an adult, we all have triggers as well, right? So it can be difficult for us to stay calm when we experience our children having intense emotions, right? We want to, when they're experiencing things with their friendships or they feel excluded, we might want to come in and save them. Sometimes their priorities might be around social interaction, where our priorities for them might be around academics, right? Or improving in some way, in a personal, goal. So, and then communication can be a conflict. So all of this is really normalized. And all of this goes into thinking about social and emotional learning and why it's so important in middle school. So in Atlanta Public Schools, we don't believe that social and emotional learning happens just in one place at one time. SEL happens everywhere. We're constantly growing and evolving. And as social and emotional learning isn't just for students, it's also for adults. So we do a lot of work with the adults in our schools and training them on their own social and emotional well-being and skill development. But we are a partner district with CASEL, the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. And in this collaboration, we we work with them on this framework where there's really 5 categories that have been identified for social and emotional development. And the first categories have to do with self. So we have self-awareness. I know who I am. I can label my feelings. I'm aware of my strengths and my challenges. I have self-efficacy and optimism. I'm aware of how my behavior might influence and impact others. And then all of that goes into how we manage ourselves. So then can we regulate our emotions? Can we manage stress? And are we able to have self-motivation? So those are the 2 categories that have to do with our self and our self-awareness and management. And then we really go into categories where we're really interacting with others. And those are social awareness and relationship skills. So social awareness is really understanding someone else's experience. So what is someone else's perspective? Thinking about empathy and understanding a different person's identity, culture, and trying to be curious about that. And all that goes into our relationships on how we communicate effectively and resolve conflict. So we want our students to be able to develop these competencies so that they make good decisions, so that they're able to really think through their actions, thinking about who they are and what they need, and also who other people are and what other perspectives there are in the world, so that they can make good choices to overcome obstacles, to make ethical decisions, to constructively resolve conflict. So I want us to think about these pieces and think about what skills do you think middle schoolers need the most out of these categories? So for me, when I was thinking about my children in middle school, I was thinking about like this idea of self-management. You know, regulating emotions can be really difficult because emotions can be so big. Or understanding someone else's perspective can be really hard when you're just so focused on your own perspective. And then I think communication, like being able to resolve conflicts, is so critically important. So in the school setting, we focus on teaching social and emotional learning so that we can prioritize support for students with emotional regulation, agency and advocacy, healthy social relationships, and providing them with, tier 1, everyone gets this kind of coping strategies and how we can become more resilient and recover when, things don't always go our way. We do this by a multitude of different ways. The first is we actually have lessons that teachers teach in the classroom. So at Howard, these lessons happen 2 times per week, and they cover things like students understanding their own brain, how their brain grows, and being able to navigate conflicts so that they can be handled in a positive way, understanding like peer pressure and stress and being able to manage those stress, being able to advocate for themselves and asking for help. We teach these skills explicitly, and we have conversations about these skills. And then also we make sure that in the academic space, if we're thinking about our ELA classrooms or math classrooms, right, we talk to students about perseverance or use empathy to talk about characters and what characters are experiencing in stories. So we try to incorporate all of these pieces. We also have a Book of the Month series every year. There are different books that are selected that students can participate in book clubs where we use stories by different authors to talk about the experience of characters and relate those experiences to ourselves. So thinking about this, we know that SEL is happening in the school, and the teachers and the leadership and the counselors are all working to support children with navigating this wonderful but challenging time for students. But at home, it can also be really helpful to support your children with emotional coaching. Modeling pausing and encouraging them to problem solve. So I think that there's a lot of positivity in helping them recognize that they have already the skills within them to resolve their own problems, that sometimes they just need the space and maybe some prompting to be able to think about the best ways to solve their own challenges. We can model calm, and if we're not calm, we can come back and we can take responsibility for our own behavior, and we can say, hey, you know, I didn't like your behavior, but I maybe shouldn't have raised my voice. Maybe there was another way to handle that. Curious conversations are helpful. Setting boundaries so our children are aware of where those boundaries are. And then also routines for connection. So, you know, is there a routine in the car on the way home from school where you can have just a conversation that leads to connection, or around the dinner table? But just finding small moments to stay connected are really important for students at this time. So some examples I wanted to give of ways we could talk to our children at this age to show them that we're confident in them, but we can set boundaries at the same time, are when you see that your child is really frustrated, you can say, you can acknowledge that you see that, and you can say, I see you're frustrated. Do you want to talk, or do you want to take a break? Or if they maybe aren't communicating with you the best because they are frustrated in their amygdala, you might say, I'm happy to listen to you when you can communicate respectfully. And, you know, the last one is really just to show them that you feel that they can handle their issues, is just by saying that, how do you think you should handle the situation or the issue? So speaking to students in this way can really help them to understand where the boundaries are, to understand how to regulate themselves and have positive coping strategies, and also to problem solve their own issues that are happening at this point in their lives. So I would like to just end my section with a closing thought that the teenage brain is still wiring for regulation, identity, and belonging. And what matters most isn't perfection, it's growth and consistent connection. So I just want to thank you so much for taking the time with me today. It's really great to come into your community and be able to share this information. I'm happy to take any questions about our programming or anything else that would be supportive.
Thank you for that, Dr. Lindsay. Someone said in the chat, so where does SEL take place at our school? And so just to refresh the conversation for that, so our students have advisory on Wednesdays and Fridays. And so on a rotating schedule, they have the SEL components. One of the things that Dr. Lindsay mentioned was the idea that everything is SEL. So within our school, we have a question of the day school-wide to get the conversation started at the beginning of class and then throughout class, and then in check-in moments. With the counseling team, we also go into the classrooms as needed and as requested for different conversations as conversations and things arise throughout the school. And as a student support team, when we do have different crises and things that arise, we attempt to work together and brainstorm those issues and situations together. Of course, it's not perfect, but we're working to make sure to push that idea that everything is SEL. So it's not just one person, but it's everyone.
And thank you so much for the comments in the chat. I really appreciate them. Yes, I think that, you know, just like going back to having this work happening 30 years ago, you know, I think that it's like we're adults or parents and we're all trying to navigate supporting somebody else going through something, right? And I think that that's like really important to acknowledge, is that we're all imperfect and we're all doing the best we can. And, you know, by staying connected and making sure that we're supporting students, even teachers, not going to be perfect, you know, but the idea is that like, holding space for connection, talking about these things, normalizing emotions and normalizing communication and conflict, and thinking about different ways to advocate and to resolve these things are super important. And so I'm really excited that we do this as a district, and I'm excited that Howard is really one of our top schools for SEL. And so thank you so much. And it's just been great to be here today. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Thank you. I'm going to bring back our other PowerPoint so that we can close out. If you guys will give me just one moment. There we go. All right. Hold that for one last slide. So I appreciate everybody for coming to attend today. I also have a 7th grader, so I am right there in the trenches with you all. So I really appreciated this information as well as a teacher, parent, teacher. So thank you for everybody who shared their knowledge with us today. Just wanted to make sure you guys are aware of the upcoming dates. So our next Principal's Coffee is on March 12th. We will focus on academic performance and milestones, as we know that those are coming up. And that one will be in person. If there are no more questions or concerns, I didn't see any chat. That's all, folks. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Hawkins, did you need anything?
No, y'all are so kind. I was just trying to read all these messages because I had to step away for a second. So I'm just looking through the chat.
Okay, no problem.
Feel free to end the meeting. Don't hold on for me. I'm good to go. Y'all have an excellent day.
You too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
I can't find my button to get off. I'm sorry.
I know, I'm looking for my.
I'm like, where's my button, bro?
Okay, there it is. All right, y'all.